Our next topic is brought to us by Epicor. Every team knows the value of hard work, of taking pride in what you build, in practicing every detail to get the best results. But no one player, no matter how amazing, can do it all alone. Working together makes getting the win easier. At Epicor, the all-stars are the hardworking manufacturers and distributors who create and deliver the things we all need, from aerospace to electrical to medical devices, from small businesses with big dreams to growing enterprises with global visions. We'll equip you with the right tools to move forward, think ahead, and lead the way, because as the clock ticks down, you need to make the most out of every hardworking minute. Easier doesn't cut corners. Easier finds the lane. Discover your success at easierwithepicor.com. That is easierwithepicor.com. All right, our next topic involves the Cleveland Cavaliers. David Aldridge of The Athletic wrote an article from the Indiana Pacers locker room following their Game 4 win. I know Indy lost last night, but some of the quotes he had from Aaron Nesmith and Pascal Siakam about playing through injury really hit home. I want to read you two quotes from David Aldridge's article on Pacers players playing through injury and their mentality when they're hurt in the playoffs. And when I read the article, it struck a nerve for me. I'm curious if it hit the same way for you guys. The first quote comes from Aaron Nesmith, who sprained his ankle in Game 3, went on to play in Game 4. Nesmith said, quote, "I was like, I don't care how I feel. I'm playing. This is what we all live for. This is what we've been preparing all year long, our entire lifetimes. These moments, I can't miss these moments." Pascal Siakam was asked about Aaron Nesmith, whether he thought he'd play or not in Game 4. This is what Pascal Siakam said. Quote, "At this point, everybody's got something going on. It doesn't really matter at that point. Everyone just wants to win. You just go out there. You put your body on the line for your teammates." Now, we have talked at length about the Cavaliers' injury issues this postseason. They had 3 guys out for Game 2. Garland missed 4 games between the first series and the second series. You can even go back to last year with Jarrett Allen and some of the rib injuries that kept him out in the second half of the Orlando series and the Boston series. Jason, I know you and I were texting about this particular article, but when you read what David had to write and you hear what some of the Pacers players had to say about that mentality to play through anything, particularly in a playoff setting, did it rub you the wrong way, considering what we just witnessed here 2 weeks ago with Cleveland?
Yeah, this is complicated for me because I try and be very careful when you're talking about how another man feels in his body. I think we have to be really careful with that. And I was part of the story that we wrote last year on Jarrett wouldn't take the injection and everything else. And I remember saying at the time, like, here's the information. This is what we have. This is what, and there's going to be people who say, take the shot. You're making $20 million a year. It's the playoffs. Take the shot and get out there. And there's going to be other people who say, good on you. Protect your body because no one else is going to protect your body for you. It's on you to make that decision. So this is a complicated issue. The only thing I can tell you is what I said before. After that Game 2 loss at home, and that's really what we're talking. Like, if you really want to drill down on it, we're talking about Game 2, because no one was complaining, and I certainly wasn't complaining when Darius missed the last 2 games of the Heat series.
They didn't need him.
They didn't need him. Nor when he sat Game 1 against Indiana. I thought, well, that's good. Sit till you lose. Obviously, we didn't know at the time how this was going to go, but I thought, yeah, sit him till you need him. Sit him till you lose a game. And then after they lost Game 1, I left the locker room after Game 1. I came on here and said, I think he's playing Game 2. From all indications I've got, he's going to play Game 2. And then he didn't play Game 2. And then they were back for Game 3. Evan missed Game 2 with the ankle. He missed 1 game with the sprained ankle, and then he came back and played on it. DeAndre missed 1, right? DeAndre missed 1 with the thumb.
Yep, correct.
Game 2. So really, if you really want to boil everything we're talking about with the Cavs and the injuries, and they're soft and mental, everything really boils down to Game 2. Is that fair?
Yes, because that's where they lost the series.
Yes. But it's not.
I don't know.
You don't think so?
They got blew out in Game 4.
They did,
Game
but by
2's
that
when
point
it
things were
swung.
sideways. So they were trying to, it's like when you're driving on a slippery road and you lose control. You're not regaining control. The slippery road was Game 2, and at that point it was sideways, and they weren't getting it back.
If you win Game 2, you can get blown out in Game 4, and you're 2-2 coming home.
That's exactly right.
So it's really not that big of a deal. It feels bad in the moment, but you're coming home 2-2.
Sure, which is.
But when you, and I mean, Kobe even said Game 2 is going to haunt them for. So that's really what.
Especially how they lost it.
So that's really what we're talking about here. When you talk about the Cavs and injuries, it really, if you really look at it and pull it apart, you're really looking at Game 2.
Yeah.
And I said I was disappointed that Darius didn't play in Game 2. And I had people from the NFL and NBA texting me after that game saying, I can't believe all three of those guys sat. How is it that not one of them is able to play? 2 different leagues.
Not understanding.
People from 2 different leagues texting me saying, I can't believe all 3 guys sat.
You know, I'm a firm believer. I don't believe you start losing in one game. I believe you start losing during the course of a whole year. And the reality of it is, when you're playing at the tippy top level, you got to understand the moment, and you got to realize that you can lose games in January that you can lose in March, because it's the mentality. It's, oh, we're good, we're fine, we're okay. Nah, man, you're not okay. Because in the other locker room, their mentality is what you just, at this point, everybody got something going on. And what the Pacers understood was, where is the sense of urgency for the Cavaliers? The Pacers, they could have went into game 1, right? And said, okay, we got game 1. Cool, we ain't worried about nothing. We got our split. You know what people, the old cliche.
We now have home court.
We have home court. Nah. They said, no, we want the second one too. And they played desperate to get it. They got it. And then when they sensed things could go back the other way, where they could tie it up for the Cavs. Cavs came back in game 3 and 1. Game 4, they said, no. We're not even gonna let you get off the mat. And so, for me, the disturbing part about it is, why are you guys still learning these lessons? It's one of them things, and you guys are fathers. You guys, it's everybody's father at one point in time comes to their son and say, listen, you're making little kid mistakes. You're not young anymore. I would have forgave this if this was 3-4 years ago, but come on, you did
this last year.
You did this last year.
Yep.
So my thing is, Darius Garland shouldn't have had to know that this was important. Jarrett Allen didn't need to know. See, you need to learn sometimes from other people. They could have learned from what Jarrett Allen said 2 years ago. Couldn't Darius Garland say, that probably wasn't the greatest thing to say, the lights was too bright, and then the next year against the Celtics refused to take the shot to come out and play. And then now all of a sudden, see, that's a trickle-down theory. Now all of a sudden, the stuff that Jarrett Allen did a couple of years ago, that signaled to Darius Garland. I can miss games in the playoffs too, right? Jarrett did it. It wasn't no big a deal. We good. We blowing them out. And I go back to it. I didn't like the fact that you was talking, and when you're injured, our coaches used to tell us this: when you're injured, you don't do media press. When you're injured, you don't talk to the media. If you haven't practiced all week, you don't get. When you come out and tell Tyler Hero, we just about to hunt, we hunting you. That's how we gonna beat you every single time.
Yeah.
And Tyler Hero looking at you like, you don't play no defense and you ain't playing. So how's you talking? That level of, look, if you're gonna be that involved and you're gonna be doing that amount of trash talking, you better be on the next thing smoking, ready to go to play, hurt, injured, come hell or high water. Yeah. And I think, to me, I don't know if you can coach that out of somebody, or they can just wake up one day and get it. Because guess what? There's guys who have it and guys who don't.
Boy, that last part you said is absolutely true. And I don't think you can coach. I think that's your tiger stripes. You have them or you don't. I agree 1,000% with how you started. Skip Bayless always used to say this, and I would laugh. He would say, I wish there was a machine that you could hook up any human and you could feel exactly what the injury feels like to said athlete. Because we don't know. Now, I say that to say this. If it's high school, bro, man, you're talking about your future. Take a seat. This is all good.
But people did it in high school.
There's no legacy on the line here. No. This is what I learned. You can't keep a high school kid off the field.
No.
Which is stunning to me, because now I know at 16, 17, 18 years old, you think you're undefeated and you cannot be conquered.
You're right.
And I just think back to my confidence level at that age athletically. I'm like, no, it's okay. I know I can't see out of either eye. I'm going to feel the pitch and I'm going to hit it. And to the point, because ignorance is bliss. Like, we were idiots. We should have been sitting, but we were telling the coach, I got this. I'm good. Let me go. But what's funny is, as you move up levels, all of that changes. In college, these kids, it's different now because they're getting paid now. But up to a couple of years ago, I could forgive a kid. You know, everybody killed Teddy Ginn when he decided, I'm not playing in the national championship game. I'm like, I'm a Buckeye fan. I get it. This dude's got a lot of money to make.
He got hurt.
He did get hurt, but a lot of Buckeye fans still hold that against him because he took the opening kick for a touchdown.
Roy Hall.
He got hold it against Roy Hall.
Listen, now that's another issue. That's totally another issue. But we look at things differently. But you also said something in your monologue when you started that is dead on. You're making $20 million a year. This isn't junior high county championships.
Yeah.
This is your legacy. Whatever Jarrett Allen goes on to accomplish, he's going to have to win multiple championships so he can erase the paragraph in his legacy about not taking a shot in the biggest series of his life. Darius Garland sat for 13 days, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't know the number. But
He
it was
missed
about
the last
weeks.
two against Miami. Then they had a week off. Then he missed the next two. And I'm with you. I can't question another man's toughness. I don't know what he was feeling. But I know this. I know players with a hell of a lot more injury have played with a hell of a lot less on the line.
Joel Bitonio took multiple shots with a high ankle sprain to get back on the field against the Texans in a playoff game the Browns had no chance of winning.
Right.
And he had multiple Toradol shots to get back in.
Well,
and
there is a difference between a football player's mentality and basketball.
I'm just saying.
Like,
but to shift it back to basketball, when Richard Jefferson, Channing Frye, and Kendrick Perkins all come out and flame these guys,
oh my God,
that carries so much more weight than me sitting here. Like, I can tell you that I got these texts and that this is what people are saying, and people are going to say, well, you're lying, you're making it up, whatever they want to say. When those three guys who have won championships in the NBA and know what it takes, when they come out and say, y'all should have played. Yeah. That to me was so revealing.
I agree with you. That was damning.
And this year for me, listen, we do this all the time, man. I want to see what people are thinking about this. Everybody talk about minutes restriction, keeping them healthy. Bro, y'all had all the minutes restrictions in the world. Nobody played over 30 minutes. We talked about it ad nauseum all year long.
Their starters played the
least amount of
minutes of the teams they had to get past.
So when you get multiple guys that come up there and say, you couldn't say this to a high school team. If a high school coach heard this, guess what you would be doing the rest of next season? If you got up there and said, you know what, we played Saving Nations the other day, man, I was just tired. How? How are you tired?
Right.
How? Like, what do you mean how? That's your job to be ready to go. And Kenny Atkinson said they played harder. They were able to sustain longer. They were more physical. That goes to your mentality and your physical shape. The Cleveland Cavaliers this offseason might want to learn from the Browns. I know Curtis said don't compare them, but we're going to compare them because that's what we got. You saw how Camp Cupcake at the Greenbrier worked.
Not well.
Not well.
First time it worked great.
Yeah, listen, now there's two 7-on-7 fields. Jason, I ain't never seen this before. Yeah, we going to compete. Everybody going to compete. Because guess what? People was soft. You got guys. We didn't even see Jed Wills no more. We didn't see nobody. We saw no one. Now, the Cleveland Cavaliers need to go into training camp, and Kenny needs to say, did I get them ready to play? Because when I played Rick Carlisle, his boys was ready to go. Yeah. They was ready to go. I want to see them. What is the reason Jarrett Allen can't gain 15 pounds of muscle? What is the reason Darius Garland can't get in that weight room and give me 10 pounds of muscle?
Yeah.
There is no reason.
I was just thinking about this as you're talking. If Darius plays game 2 and they lose, are we talking differently about this team?
See, I think, Jay, they don't lose. I just don't.
But
they do. Yes, we probably are.
And that's
because he played, so we're not going to question his toughness.
Evan missed one game with a sprained ankle,
right?
Is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
DeAndre missed one game with a dislocated thumb. That's it.
So this is not an issue.
So we're really going back to Darius missing game 2 is really what this comes down to.
And you know what? The reason I say they wouldn't lose
because he was back in game 3 and played every game after that.
Yes, but to me, the things that I was watching the last 2 minutes of that game, and I just kept saying, I don't recognize this team. We couldn't inbound the ball. We couldn't dribble.
Didn't get the ball over half court in the last minute. And to your point, if Darius is
and
out
if Darius is in the game, that's even if he's injured.
But guys,
he probably is able to get over
at the highest levels. It's only this much.
Yeah, yes, you're right.
It's only this much.
I'm just saying, if Darius plays game 2 and they lose, how much different are we talking about?
We would have been. Yeah,
I think all of this goes away.
Well, then I think
it's kind of crazy to me when you really think about it.
You're right, but I think then the focus goes to, because you mentioned this too, to me, and these are kind of intertwined, it's about desire. How badly do you want to be the best? Not one of the best, not a regular season paper champion. And to me, I'm watching the Indiana Pacers, and I know they lost last night. I still think they're going to win the series, and they may not, and I could be wrong. But if you could measure desire, this team plays with as much want to, desire, heart, grit, hustle, effort as any team I can remember. And they're far eclipsing the sum of their parts because that's the intangible. How badly do you want this?
If the Cavs played with the same fight the Pacers played with, they'd be lethal.
They're in Oklahoma City's shoes right now. They're waiting for the finals.
And that's what I kept saying. Donovan is obsessed with winning. He is consumed by it. But
I
don't think
one of them is.
I didn't know him when he was in Utah. I didn't cover him. I don't think he had this mentality. So when you go back to the Tiger and the Stripes, and I think multiple failures of losing multiple years of having max contracts, all NBA.
Can he instill that in the other guys?
I don't know.
I don't think that's a transferable skill.
He's farther down the line than everybody else is. They have to catch up to him in terms of that. Will they ever get there? I don't know. The only thing I can say, I wrote it a couple weeks ago when LeBron came back. He basically told all those young kids, shut up and listen to me, do what I tell you to do, and we're going to win. And with a little bit of resistance from Kyrie at times, whatever else, ultimately
they did.
And they did.
Yeah.
So, this is different, though, because LeBron went to Miami. He learned how to win. Donovan's never won. So it's why I wrote a couple weeks ago, the Cavs hired a Sherpa to get him up a mountain who's never climbed that mountain.
That's a great way of putting it.
So they're trying to figure this out together, but that's not totally uncommon. Oklahoma City didn't know how to do it until they did it.